This and That and What the Fuck Else, episode 91. In this one I'll be talking about some health issues, immigration, racism, a bit about Russia and the Ukraine and the US. There's lots of things happening that I think we should take note of, and I'm having a hard time to keep up to date. It takes time to work through these things, and I am many times tempted to delete things out of my stock, but it is, for me, good pieces of information that one should have, and we won't see it on the mainstream media. So I'm going to try and get up to speed and then rethink how I compile my things, but that's the way it works for me currently. And I just want to ask again, please, the likes and the subscribes is very important. The channel is growing slowly, but the YouTube algorithms, they take note of your likes, and that like is important. So hit the like, man. Now this is a health issue that I can talk about without being too concerned, and this is a very interesting thing, but there is an issue for me. Lab-grown blood given to people in world first trial. A groundbreaking clinical trial has seen patients given blood manufactured in a lab. According to a team of UK researchers, a few spoonsful of the artificial blood are being tested in tiny amounts to observe how it reacts in the body. The new blood is made from a normal donation, from which stem cells are extracted, multiplied and then guided to become red blood cells. The process, which takes around 3 weeks, sees an initial pool of around 500,000 stem cells, resulting in 50 billion red blood cells, certainly more than an armful. Now, you can read the rest of this. What is important for me is that the way the health system handled the pestilence has destroyed many people's faith in the health system. And this is a fantastic breakthrough, but obviously there is a hell of a lot of room for unholiness going on. So I don't know. I don't think we will ever really understand the damage that was done to us by Fauci and his. And then we get to this, and I read it and I just smiled. Mexico using drug-blighted US streets in a community awareness campaigns. A campaign to scare young Mexicans away from narcotics displays real footage from Philadelphia showing drug users contorting along trash-filled streets. Crystal meth finishes you off quickly. It takes away hunger and tiredness and causes hallucinations and psychosis. It damages the body and the mind, the narrator says. Now the narcos are adding fentanyl to hook you for the first time you use. Fentanyl kills, a second clip claims. And I find it actually almost hilarious that the Mexicans use images from an American city to scare their citizens away from drugs. And then we've got this immigration issue. France issues a warning to Italy over migrants. There will be consequences for Italy if it continues to turn away migrants rescued from the Mediterranean Sea, French Foreign Minister Catherine Colonna has said. The new government in Rome banned the Ocean Viking, a vessel containing 234 migrants who had been rescued at sea, from entering Italian ports last month. Colonna described this behavior as strong disappointment in an interview with Le Parisien newspaper on Saturday. The decision is shocking. Italy respects neither international nor maritime law, she said, insisting that the ship transporting distressed people from the Middle East and North Africa had to be accepted by the nearest port, which has been an Italian one. And I must say, I agree with the Italian Prime Minister. The fact of the matter is, there's a whole fleet of woke fuckers patrolling the Mediterranean, picking up these people in the dinghies and rafts and shit, and then drop them off in Italy. That must stop. And then there's this little bit of fact. When the shit hit the fan, we all saw who the Ukrainians ran to. Look at those numbers there. 2.8 million ran to Russia. That's a hell of a lot. And then look at the numbers for the other countries. Makes you think. And then I get to something that if I was an American, I would be cleaning my trusted old 3006. The idea that it is US policy to deliberately replace white people through immigration and demographically transform the country is a racist conspiracy theory. Schumer, we are going to demographically replace white people through immigration as a matter of policy. Can you believe that? That is American policy, to replace white people with immigrants. And then you get this genius that makes this tweet on Twitter. Black people invented everything. I'm just going to leave it there, because if I start talking, I will be in danger. And that next post is from that same genius that said blacks is the only race in the world that has got natural intelligence. They don't need to study for anything. Listen to this tweet. Being black is the greatest thing that I am. I pride myself as being black. We are descendants of great thinkers and inventors. We come from an ancestral line of intellects. Don't let the system make you doubt yourself. Rise in your greatness. Black power. How's that? That's the one that posted about natural and genetic intelligence. And then we get this. There's many people that have spoken about this, but you need to listen to what this guy says. The Kalergi Plan, the genocide of all white people. The future man will be a mixed race. As for Pan-Europe, I wish to see a Eurasian Negroid mixture with great variation in personality types. The Jews shall take the leading positions, since Providence has given Europe a spiritually superior race of nobility called the Jews. The white races of Europe should be destroyed and replaced with a race of Eurasian Negroids who can be easily controlled by us ruling elite. Count Richard von Couderhof Kalergi, founder and president of Pan-European Union for 49 years, written in his book Praktischer Idealismus, 1924. Take note of this. And this is what they are doing now. Look at those millions of immigrants they are pushing into Europe and into America. And then we get this one from 1337 Crayon Eater. Why? Are white people such a big damn threat that you have to put us down and try keep us out of on every turn? You know what this is doing. It's making us stronger. We're becoming more resilient. Thank you for making us unbeatable. And that was a response to Cyril Ramaphosa's post. In giving effect to this priority, the ANC neck remains clear that the movement remains resolutely committed to the implementation of BBBEE. When will the light come on for these people? And then we've got this little Dis-Chem story. Dis-Chem loses 1.9 billion after non-whites letter. Dis-Chem has lost 1.9 billion in value since a leaked letter from the CEO, Ivan Zaltzman, revealed a moratorium on employing or promoting white people. And I'd say, Ian Cameron, this is great. Dis-Chem, you did this to yourself. Kry vir julle. And then we get this little bit of disturbing thing from Israel. There is no protest against Israel, no words. Israel admits to sterilizing black Ethiopian Jewish immigrants without their knowledge. And can you just imagine that? And they get away with it. And then we get this genius, natural intellect. A kid born in 2010 is now 18 years. Let that sink in. Now, this post was on the 18th of July 2018. And this girl is from Nigeria. I never thought I would need to explain basic math, but since we're here, a kid born in 2010 is now 2018. So you add the 10 to the 8, and that is 18. Simple math. So the kid is 18 years in 2018. Simple. And I just had to laugh. So you take the 10 from 2010 and the 8 from 2018 and you count them together and it gives you 18. And then we get into Russia. Russia in 1913 had the most engineering students enrolled in universities. Russia had the highest number of women studying in higher educational institutions. In terms of the total number of students for every 10,000 people, the Russian Empire of Nicholas II ranked third in the world. Just a little bit of interesting history. And then we get to Medvedev. Medvedev, commenting on the UN resolution on Russian compensation for damage to Ukraine, said that the Anglo-Saxons are trying to scrape together a legal basis for the theft of illegally arrested Russian assets. He suggested that the UN accept the same recommendation on the full compensation of the United States for damage to Korea, Vietnam, Iraq, Yugoslavia. Now we all know that will never happen. And then we get to the UK. Starve or freeze to death, millions of elderly Brits fear a grim choice this winter as costs spiral. Hunger or cold, millions of older Brits fear a dark choice this winter as prices skyrocket. As prices rise on literally everything, older people are already taking to the streets to protest. I remember our 90s. Who would have thought that they would have this too? And I need you to remind you that Britain is pumping billions of pounds into the Ukraine. And they are in financial fuck-up. There's no other words for it. But they don't have money to look after their own people. And this is what the citizens of the world, the Western world, need to take note of. This elite leadership is busy destroying your lives with money that you earned. And now they are wasting it away on their missions. Somebody suggested in one of my videos in the comments that people need to go and look back and see how the French Revolution worked and how the French got rid of their elite. I think that is right. And then there's a little meme from the UK showing the graves of our soldiers. They died for this. Look at the image and think of it. Then we get to this. Britain freezes 18 billion of Russian assets. The British government said on Thursday it had overall frozen assets belonging to sanctioned Russian individuals and entities worth 18 billion pounds, $20.5 billion, who have imposed the most severe sanction ever on Russia, and it's crippling their war machine, claimed Andrew Griffith, a junior government minister of the Treasury. Britain has so far sanctioned more than 1,200 individuals and more than 120 entities in Russia. I wonder if the fucking British realize that they are doing to Russia exactly what they've been doing to the rest of the world for many, many years. They are stealing. This is theft. They are stealing. But the British economy is fucked. They don't have money. They're out of money. They're out of everything. They are going to struggle. And as I said many times previously, I've read commentators that reckon that by December this year, that's in a month's time, Britain would most probably be a third world. And if you look at what's going on there, they're not wrong. And then we get to the Ukraine. The UK and the US pressure Ukraine pull out of negotiations in March. That would have ended the conflict. But today, Months and thousands of lives later, the US is putting pressure on Ukraine to show a willingness to negotiate. Is there a state more immoral than the US? And that is a damn good question. And then there was this that I picked up on Telegram, posted by Anonymous. We want to be rich like the West, but Russia keeping the Ukrainian man down. The funny thing is, Ukraine had the best starting position in 1991. Russia took all debt. Ukraine was heartland of Soviet industry, huge agrarian industry, which has always demand worldwide, huge military, can sell a lot and still have one of the strongest military in Europe, great technology base, Russian exports and gas goes through the country. They could literally have been a bridge between the EU and Russia. They could have profited from that and grown rich like Germany. They could have maintained great relations with both nations and paved the way to sooner or later unite EU with Ukraine or Russia. Instead, these retards have sown division, became a corrupt shithole, and started some ultra-nationalistic fake identity that is worth killing your countrymen for. They not only ruined their once great territory full of potential, they also damage European unity and future with their retardation. Why are Ukrainians like this? And that's a good question. And I listened to another guy earlier this afternoon, and he also spoke about the fact that the Ukraine got so much out of the USSR. And then he mentioned that since they went independent, they have not spent any money on any infrastructure. They were just using the Soviet infrastructure as it was there, and the roads were slowly but surely falling apart. Potholes everywhere, nothing. And he was just visiting the Donbass, and he says there is hundreds of kilometers of new tar roads being laid by the Russian ministry for development. And here's just a little bit of information for you from Kiev, you supporters of the Ukraine. You're telling the world that everybody must suffer because you're fighting for democracy. This is what you're fighting for. Kiev to strangle press freedom with new laws. Extremely strict legislation with few provisions will give unprecedented power to the Ukrainian government to censor, shut and fine any outlet under the guise of singular state body if passed. That's what we have. And then we get this here. It's a little bit back to the FTX. Breaking exclusive. Tens of billions of US dollars were transferred to Ukraine, and then using FTX cryptocurrency, the funds were laundered back to Democrats in the US. And I wonder what the Americans are going to do about that. Then there's this post. No other journalist or media can enter Kherson except CNN, BBC and Sky News. What the fuck is that? But we know, it's well known that the BBC specifically is the greatest producer of fake news in the Western world. And then a little bit more about FTX. The collapsed cryptocurrency exchange FTX had ties to the Ukrainian government, WEF and top Biden advisors. And then we get to this one from America, and the Americans should take note of it. Increasing talk again about the US forming a coalition of the willing to intervene directly into the Ukraine war. Americans, hold your children tight. Look them in the eyes and tell them that you love them, because if this coalition happens, and then the guy shows the image of those rows and rows of American coffins. Guys, that is the reality. And then we get to that Warafak, and I have it, he handled similar stuff like this. This image appeared on Twitter, and they said, is it the same woman? And then this guy said, fix it. And the top two images, before cocaine addiction, and the bottom two, after cocaine addiction. Is it true? Is it false? I don't know. You can tell me in the comments, and please hit me with a like and a subscribe and share the thing. Thank you for your support.